When my father started John Hall's Alaska, the idea was to get people into those parts of Alaska that less than 5% of the total visitor population has a chance to experience. That's what we know people are yearning for.
My Alaskan experience actually started in 1955 when I got to ride with my father, who was delivering 500 cases of eggs up to Fairbanks. We actually got to drive the entire Alaskan highway in June of 1955. When I started the tour company in Alaska, we noticed that people that were servicing Alaska were missing the very best parts of Alaska. So it was my philosophy that I wanted to get people into parts of Alaska that nobody else took them. And we transferred that into where we are today, where we cover 2/3 more of Alaska than anybody else. John, Joseph, Elizabeth all went to Alaska with me when they were children. Their knowledge from Alaska continued to grow yearly. Then they all went through schooling, went out into their own fields of business. They all came back one by one because they loved Alaska so much. So now they're actually all part of the business.
I would say that the most important factor is that we want our guests to be an extension of our family. We also want them to know that they're being hosted by somebody who lives and breathes the air of Alaska 365 days a year. So we believe in over-delivering and really going beyond the expectations of a guest and delivering a product that leaves them coming home with the desire to come back and do it again and again.
It starts from the time that they call the office, just making sure that they feel like they are a guest to us and they matter to us, and making sure that from the start the phone is picked up. You actually get to talk to a live individual, and making sure from that point on that they're addressed as Mr. and Mrs. and rather than a reservation number. To make sure that they feel like they're part of a family and they're taken care of, help make sure that they're ready to go and prepared to go when they first pick up the phone to the time they actually leave for Alaska.
Our staff, both in Alaska and Minnesota, we have such a strong team and they feel like they're part of the family as well. That kind of family feel gets passed on to our guests, and they feel that the entire way from the time they book their trip up until the very end of their trip.
And then when they get on that motor coach that first morning, we roll out the red carpet. They meet their tour manager, and they really have that emotional connection with that person by the time that the trip comes to a close. And then of course, even on the cruise ship, we have our own designated individual who makes sure that their every need is taken care of during that 7-day inside passage sailing. I would invite you to come and see Alaska. There's no place like it.
John Hall's Alaska sets itself apart from any other Alaska tour company by giving guests 2/3 more of the real Alaska in an intimate group setting with a family-like atmosphere. When you become a John Hall's Alaska guest, you not only have special attention to your every need, you become part of the John Hall family. and sharing the connections and Alaska expertise we have been growing for over 37 years. At John Halls Alaska, we pride ourselves on our value-added and worry-free approach. Tour packages are built to include all meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, luxury coach and rail transportation, luggage handling, priority access at all events, port charges, taxes, airport meet and greets, plus transfers and cruise line gratuities. Guests will enjoy our soft adventure style of touring, which simply means that we bring you to remote destinations and into the wild, while accommodating guests of all mobilities. For your convenience, our tours come with an active rating to help you decide which tour is the best fit for your comfort level. Please keep in mind that all of our tours can be a land-only adventure should you wish to skip the cruise. Our one-of-a-kind itineraries reflect Alaskan-style luxury. For us, luxury is all about delivering the real Alaska to our guests. We do this by bringing you straight into nature, avoiding summer crowds, and by exploring Alaska on privately chartered excursions, including small boats and small planes. We grant you access into the heart of remote national parks and preserves, and have formed exclusive relationships with Alaskan families to give our guests a behind-the-scenes look at Alaskan culture and traditions. John Halls Alaska is the only tour company in Alaska to offer flexible style dining. When the destination allows for it, guests will be able to select their lunch and dinner meals from a restaurant's entire menu. On land, dinners will include one adult beverage to enjoy with your meal. And we include all meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, hand-selected and taste-tested to feature Alaska's finest scratch kitchens and local cuisine in a 100% casual environment. The culinary experience will make as lasting an impression as the sight of glaciers and wildlife. John Halls Alaska strives to deliver a first-class service experience. From the minute you step off the plane, a John Halls representative will be there to greet you, no matter the time you arrive, and escort you to your hotel. Throughout your entire trip, a professional John Halls representative is there to ensure you are having the best vacation possible. This means before, during, and after your trip, a John Halls representative is available 24/7. Your tour guides are true Alaskans with the intimate knowledge, excitement, and passion to connect you with Alaska like no one else can. It's such a feature as this that continues to make John Halls Alaska such a respected and decorated Alaskan tour operator throughout the world, and most importantly, throughout Alaska.
Working for John Halls Alaska has given me the opportunity to really share my love of Alaska with those who are coming up who may have never been here before. And even those who have come here, they probably haven't been exposed to a lot of things that John Halls Alaska allows us as tour managers to take care of. And that always opens doors to other things, which keeps us very unique as tour managers as well as a company.
The John Halls Alaska Motor Coach fleet is custom built to provide first-class style touring, offering you increased legroom, flat-screen TVs, 110 power at every seat, and a complimentary beverage galley. What is it about Alaska that makes it such a top destination? Being 2.5 times the size of Texas and having some of the most remote destinations means that most are only accessible by float plane, dog sled, or boat. Most visitors will not see 2/3 of Alaska, but as a John Halls guest, we'll get you there. It's John Halls' small group atmosphere and approach that gets you off the beaten path and into the heart of real Alaska. That means not only will you see the most iconic sights, but you will also have intimate and exclusive access to the most pristine parts of this great state, all 5 regions of Alaska. No other tour company can say that. It's clear why glaciers are such a true Alaskan highlight. Our tours offer you not only views of calving glaciers from the comfort of seagoing vessels, but also the option of gearing up and walking out onto these expansive works of art, and soaring over them in flight-seeing tours, and even the chance of landing upon them. The mountains and scenery are like nowhere else on Earth. Walking out through the tundra and the low berry bushes, along the rivers, and beneath the overflowing waterfalls is like a visit to an earthly paradise. And ever present is the Great One, known as Denali. Only 30% of Alaskan visitors get to view this iconic mountain, but 95% of John Hall's guests get to see Denali, and most for multiple days. Whether it's from the banks of Wonder Lake or soaring up by flight-seeing plane. Half of the world's bald eagles live in Alaska, and other such predators as hawks, foxes, lynx, and some 10,000 wolves, including the famed Toklat Pack, make this their home. On average, a John Hall's guest sees 6 to 8 grizzly, 3 to 6 moose, 20 to 25 caribou, and up to 100 Dall sheep. Marine life is quite abundant, and so it is quite common for you to see sea lions, harbor seals, sea otters, orcas, Dall porpoise, and of course, the ever-impressive humpback whale, which at times fill the waters around you, spouting and breaching in massive gatherings. A visit to Wrangell St. Elias National Park is offered in most trips, as are the marine-rich waters of Kenai Fjords National Park. John Hall's Alaska is proud to offer more time in Denali National Park than any other tour company, offering 3 days and 2 nights minimum stay. One of the greatest highlights for John Hall's Alaska guests is our visit to the amazing Prince William Sound, where Stan Stevens Glacier and Wildlife Cruises offer a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to sail into one of the richest ecological areas in the world. Like the explorer James Cook, you will cruise through the vaulting fjords, cross the threshold of the terminal moraine, and pass into a field of icebergs, viewing the most active glacier in the world, Columbia Glacier.
It's really nice with the John Hall trips because we use a smaller vessel and you guys have the entire boat to yourselves. You don't have 100 other people on the boat trying to push you out of the way for a picture. You guys just get to see more than the average person does. More glaciers, more wildlife, just how pristine this area actually is.
In Fairbanks, you'll take the paddle boat Discovery down the Chena River, visiting the Athabasca Native Village. Then it's off to Trailbreaker Kennels, home of the late Susan Butcher, 4-time winner of the Iditarod, where her husband Dave Munson invites us into his home for a meal. Dave introduces our guests to this iconic Alaskan sport, and you even get a chance to spend some one-on-one time with the puppies. Alaska has just as much to do with the human story, whether it's the first indigenous people or later settlers, miners, frontiers people, and entrepreneurs. John Hall's Alaska has developed long-lasting friendships with these Alaskan heroes and ambassadors that no other Alaskan tour provider can offer.
For me, it's much the people that I've become associated with, the friends that I've made, and I hear that as well from our guests, that they're amazed at how fantastic and authentic and down-to-earth the people of Alaska are, and that's equally as important to the destination as all those assets that Mother Nature provides us.
The John Hall's experience is about the relationship I have with the family. I feel like they're family, they feel like I am, but also with the tour directors and the guides and the drivers. I know them all. I've known them for 10 years. I have just get such a kick out of it. We look forward to seeing each other, and I look forward to them introducing me to the guests they have, and that's what makes the John Hall visit so much fun. It's just personal.
In Talkeetna, you'll also experience the historic Talkeetna Roadhouse firsthand. eating a hearty meal alongside mountain climbers and Talkeetna locals.
The Roadhouse has been here for a long time. Food was something that brought you to a table, but you sat with other people from all over, and maybe some of those were climbing the mountain or had just climbed the mountain. And they really ended up kind of nailing the scrambled eggs and the homemade bread and things like that. I embraced that tradition of the Roadhouse.
Many tours include a look at Alaska's fastest growing industry, brewing. Guests enjoy tours and tastings at local favorites, including interactions with brewers like Sason Masina, owner of the Denali Brewing Company.
We've had some pretty impressive growth over the last 7 years. One of the things we've never done is to compromise the quality of the beer. And part of that is giving the beer the time it takes to go through its different stages.
In Cordova, your native Alaskan guides will take you kayaking and glacier trekking, while our partners at Orca Adventure Lodge will bring you access to deep-sea fishing and sightseeing at Million Dollar Bridge and Childs Glacier. John Halls Alaska has long-lasting partnerships with Alaska's indigenous peoples, ranging from the Tlingit people of Kake to the Inupiat of Ukqiavik, formerly known as Barrow.
You're more than welcome to walk around, and if you get invited to any of the locals' house, they'll invite you over and they'll give you a chance to try some of the local food.
Many of our packages include tours of Alaska Native villages, so that guests can better understand the cultural heritage of the state. The Alaska Railroad is an important historical part of Alaska. John Halls Alaska includes a 4-hour stretch for our guests in the first-class Gold Star service domed cars. Enjoy the private observation deck and dining car as you travel the Alaska Railroad. Also included are award-winning wilderness lodges, selected for Alaskan-style comfort, but also for their easy access to the great outdoors. These accommodations include the backwoods setting of the Denali Backcountry Lodge along Moose Creek, and in the shadows of Denali, the Talkeetna Alaskan Lodge in Talkeetna, with expansive views of the Alaska Range from its back porch. The lakefront in Anchorage, giving guests a visual of Lake Hood, Alaska's busiest seaplane base. In Wrangell St. Elias National Park, you can hike Root Glacier, just steps from the Kennecott Glacier Lodge. Seward Windsong Lodge and the Orca Adventure Lodge in Cordova both bring access to wilderness activities. And the Riverview Suites at Denali Bluffs give sweeping views of Denali National Park's forests and mountains. John Halls Alaska's 13-day Denali Explorer allows visitors of all ages the chance to experience Denali National Park's Big Five in wildlife and Alaska's awe-inspiring marine wildlife and glaciers. Appropriately named the Denali Explorer, this tour offers guests the opportunity of seeing North America's tallest mountain, Denali, for 4 consecutive days. The itinerary begins in Anchorage, and traveling by motor coach to the gates of Denali for 2 nights, where Alaska's Big Five await you. And then we take the Alaskan Rail to Talkeetna for 1 night, before completing the land portion of the journey with an evening in the port community of Seward. If you wish to skip the cruise, this tour can be a 7-day land-only package. Prior to Denali National Park, we first visit the homestead of Iditarod musher Mike Santos and meet the stars of his Wolf's Den kennel. Here you will experience the training and dedication in developing athletes for Alaska's winter landscapes and meet the staff that call Alaska home. This trip offers 2 nights at the gates of Denali and the opportunity to travel all 92.5 miles of the park road, soaking up the remarkable ecology, history, and raw wilderness of Alaska's most exciting national park. Before lunch at the historic mining district of Kantishna, you will pass Amazing Wonder Lake, a highlight-only experience by a small fraction of Alaska's visitors. We understand that touring into the farthest reaches of Denali is not for everyone, and that is why, in 2019, guests may join a shorter 8-hour tundra wilderness tour to Stony Hill that travels 63 miles into the park. Continuing by John Hall's Alaska Motor Coach, we arrive in the community of Talkeetna, where you will have the opportunity to sample local craft beers from Denali Brewing Company and home-cooked meals from the historic Talkeetna Roadhouse. In Seward, we embark on a 6-hour glacier and wildlife cruise into the waters of Kenai Fjords National Park. The magnificent marine wildlife and awe-inspiring glacier activity will make lasting impressions of your time in Alaska's interior. For 2020, we have set aside one departure as compatible with our Junior Explorer program, available to youth ages 5 to 15. While the adults will enjoy the same daily itinerary, on many afternoons or evenings, Junior Explorers will take part in educational, interactive activities designed to be age-appropriate and appeal to their interests. Parents and grandparents are then free to enjoy dinner and a quiet evening to themselves. With registration, your youth will receive a Junior Explorer's backpack filled with items to help them make the most of their Alaskan expedition. The 15-day Grand Slam Alaska Tour continues to be very popular for first-time visitors to Alaska, and it offers more departure dates than any other itinerary. Beginning in Anchorage, we will cross Prince William Sound en route to Valdez, followed by Fairbanks for 2 nights, then on to Denali and Kantishna's Denali Backcountry Lodge for another 2 evenings. The land portion of the itinerary is completed with a night in Talkeetna before heading to Seward, where guests may join their Celebrity or Royal Caribbean vessel for a tour of the Inside Passage. This itinerary may be a 9-day land-only package. On select departures, you have the option of sailing on a 60-passenger small boat, enjoying a more intimate and hands-on cruise experience. While in Kantishna, you have access to both adventure and relaxation. It's here you can immerse yourself in true Alaskan backcountry in places like Blueberry Hill with a backdrop of Denali and Wonder Lake, where grizzly and moose make frequent appearances. You can also fish the Alaskan waters, bike, gold pan, explore the gold rush history, as well as find entrancing solitude along the banks of Moose Creek. For those in need of a closer encounter with Denali, there is an optional flight seeing adventure around the mountain, available while in Kantishna and later in Talkeetna. Prior to our stay in Kantishna, guests will enjoy the Riverboat Discovery, Alaska Salmon Bake, and an exclusive visit to the Trailbreaker Kennels, and Gold Star service in the luxury dome cars of the Alaska Railroad. Our last night on tour will be spent in the beautiful Talkeetna Alaska Lodge, where the guests are treated to unmatched views of Denali and the Alaska Range covered with the light of the alpenglow. The visit to the Anchorage Museum is a perfect primer and summary of the art, culture, and science that so defines the essence of Alaska. For many of our guests, the outstanding glacier and wildlife cruise into Prince William Sound will be one of their most memorable excursions, as we witness tidewater glaciers, towering fjords, and regularly come into contact with dense concentrations of several species of whales, otters, sea lions, and seabirds, like eagles and puffins. An Alaskan Odyssey, all packed into one voyage. A true testament to John Hall's Alaska's intimate knowledge of awesome locations and their ability to take you where no one else can is the 11-day Untamed Alaska Tour. Our Untamed Alaska gives you an extensive exposure to Alaska's iconic wilderness surroundings and includes 2 customizable adventure days where you can choose to deep sea fish, glacier kayak, gold pan, hike, mountain bike, and more. Beginning in Anchorage, we take the Alaskan Railroad to Talkeetna for an evening. Then it's off to Denali National Park in Kantishna for 2 evenings, 1 night at the entrance, and then out across the truly primitive Denali Highway to 2-night stay in Valdez, and then to the secrets of Cordova before returning to Anchorage. We begin this tour with a visit to Talkeetna, the historic mining and climbing base camp, with a relaxing evening at the Talkeetna Alaskan Lodge, before an in-depth exploration of Denali National Park, an Alaskan wildlife viewing paradise. And it's at the Denali Backcountry Lodge where we mix both peaceful respite with natural and historical splendor, along with the chance for an optional flight seeing tour of the Great Denali. We then have a private visit to Mike Santos's Wolf's Den Kennel, with an up-close and personal tour and presentation, before we head out for a true adventure on the primitive 135-mile Denali Highway. The next 2 days combine the gems of the Keystone Canyon and Thompson Pass, the snowiest location in Alaska, which includes Bridle and Horsetail Falls and Worthington Glacier, and a cruise with Stan Stevens into the splendors of Prince William Sound. You'll also have the chance to visit both Mears and Columbia Glacier. We end this itinerary staying in the fishing village of Cordova. After a sightseeing cruise, we'll stay at the historic Orca Adventure Lodge. This restored cannery sits right upon the water and offers multiple activities, like deep sea fishing for salmon and halibut. You'll also have the options of taking a hike to Sheridan Glacier and the rare opportunity of actually kayaking amongst the fingers of ice with the Misty Mountains as a backdrop. Or you can be one of the very few that gets to visit Childs Glacier and Million Dollar Bridge, gaining access to this magical realm via an exclusive John Hall's Alaska partner. Finally, it's back to Anchorage, where we pay a visit to the Anchorage Museum and visit the downtown district to close out this unforgettable Alaskan vacation. Should you wish to see some of Southeast Alaska's highlights, our 2020 Untamed Alaska departures can be combined with a large or small ship cruise itinerary, giving you several options for extending your journey. A true standard itinerary is the 19-day Three Bears of Alaska tour. John Hall's Alaska is the only company to offer a chance to experience all 3 bears in one itinerary: the immense coastal browns of Kodiak, the grizzly bears of Denali, and the polar bears of Kaktovik. This expedition has them all. We begin in Fairbanks, and then it's off to Kaktovik. From here we head to Denali National Park, then to Talkeetna, Kodiak, and finally it's to Anchorage and then to Seward. For those embarking on a tour of the Inside Passage, this package can also be a 10-day land-only program. We spend 3 nights in Fairbanks and spend 1 full day on Alaska's Arctic coast in the Inupiat village of Kaktovik, home to more than 80 polar bear. Here we get to view the polar bears along the beaches, in the waters, and feeding on the remains of bowhead whales in what is known as the Boneyard. Next, it's on to Denali National Park, where you will spend 2 nights deep inside the heart of the preserve. Denali is home to our second Ursa arctos specimen, the ever-popular grizzly bear, where sightings are regular occurrences. As we explore Denali and Kantishna, the grizzly are joined by moose, sheep, caribou, wolves, and many species of birds and other prominent Alaskan wildlife. After calling on Talkeetna for one evening, we set course for Kodiak, the Emerald Island of Alaska, home of the rainforested cliffs of Fort Abercrombie Park, which preserves the World War II fortifications the United States had prepared to defend itself from the very real threat of Japanese invasion. The deep Russian roots in Alaska are displayed here and the beauty of the Russian Orthodox Church. While in Kodiak, we take the float planes of Andrew Airways to visit our third of the bear ambassadors, the coastal browns, which leave a striking impression, as they are larger than the grizzly bear, a fact most evident when you see them face to face. We will then spend a day in Anchorage, and for those continuing on with a cruise through the Inside Passage, you will travel from Anchorage to Seward, where you will embark with Holland America for a 7-day sailing to Vancouver. A true National Parks adventure is our 19-day National Parks of Alaska tour. The only tour of its kind in Alaska to visit an astounding 5 out of the 8 national parks in Alaska on this one land itinerary. Select departures include the chance to add a 60-passenger small boat expedition visiting Glacier Bay, bringing the total number of national parks visited to 6. From Anchorage, we head to Katmai National Park for bear viewing at Brooks Falls. We return to Anchorage for another night, then drive across the Matanuska and Copper River valleys to board small planes for flight seeing over the Wrangell Mountains. Overnighting in McCarthy for 2 nights, we return to the Richardson Highway into Fairbanks for 2 evenings. The first day, we fly into Gates of the Arctic National Park and Anaktuvik Pass, and then into Ukqiagvik, the northernmost point in North America. We take the Alaskan Rail to Denali National Park the next day, and then it's into Kantishna for 2 nights, a night in Talkeetna, and then to Seward and the Kenai Peninsula for 2 evenings. A land-only version of this tour would be 13 days. In this itinerary, we head into Katmai National Park in the Valley of 10,000 Smokes to watch coastal brown bears feasting on salmon at Brooks Falls, one of the most intimate and powerful nature watching experiences available. In Wrangell St. Elias National Park, we'll spend time in the sister communities of McCarthy, and to Kennecott, where we'll not only visit the renovated wonders of the Kennecott Copper Mine, but also offer an optional excursion to walk out onto the largest glacial system in North America. We stay 2 evenings at the premier Kennecott Glacier Lodge, offering expansive views of Kennecott Glacier, Mount Blackburn, and the Chugach Mountains. We then fly out over the Arctic Circle, landing in Gates of the Arctic National Park, home to the last Inupiat village, Anaktuvik Pass. Next, we fly over the Brooks Range to Ukqiagvik, getting to know the Alaska natives that live there. And when else would you have the opportunity to say you dipped your feet in the Arctic Ocean? In Denali National Park, we witness the active biodiversity of grizzly, wolves, moose, and Dall sheep, with the impressive 20,310-foot Denali as the backdrop. And finally, it's in Kenai Fjords National Park, where we will navigate amongst calving glaciers and marine wildlife before heading out on your 7-day cruise. John Hall's Alaska brings you the 24-day Alaska and Canadian Rockies tour in 2020. This is a 17-day land and 7-day cruise, or a 17-day land-only tour, and is a sister itinerary to our 2021 Fall Colors Tour. This tour can also be combined with either the Radiance of the Seas or the small uncruised vessel experience. We begin in Seattle, traveling to beautiful Kamloops, British Columbia, and on to Banff, then Lake Louise for 2 nights. The ice-filled parkway connects us to Jasper before heading to Grand Prairie and onto the Alaskan Highway for a 1,400-mile adventure. We'll visit Fort Nelson, Muncho Lake, Watson Lake, Whitehorse, Tok, Fairbanks for 2 nights, and then on to Denali and Kantishna. We spend 2 nights in Denali National Park and visit Anchorage before boarding the cruise ship in Seward. From Seattle, we head north into the Canadian Rockies, highlighting beautiful Lake Louise and then Banff, with a gondola ride to the top of Sulphur Mountain for dinner. We travel up the Icefields Parkway for an Ice Explorer coach tour of Athabasca Glacier. Next, we witness pristine Lake Peyto before viewing the roaring waters of Athabasca Falls. Relax with an afternoon of free time in Jasper. Then we cruise the world-famous Alaska Highway, 1,400 miles connecting Dawson Creek, British Columbia to Dalton Junction, Alaska. This amazing road was constructed in just under 9 months in our efforts to ensure our victory against the Japanese in the Aleutian Islands, which saw combat and loss of life on both sides. We overnight on the brilliant blue waters of Muncho Lake before visiting Watson Lake's famous signpost forest, crossing into the Yukon, and ultimately touring Alaska for another 5 days. In this tour, guests will spend a day touring Fairbanks, followed by a 2-night stay at the gates of Denali National Park, with a choice of a 10-hour or 8-hour tour of the park, followed by time in Anchorage. The amazing 11-day Iditarod and Aurora Adventure Winter Tour, recommended by the Travel Channel, is an amazing way to engage with Alaska's people and popular winter traditions. Starting with 3 nights in Anchorage, we travel into Talkeetna, staying at the Talkeetna Alaskan Lodge for 2 nights. Then it's on to Fairbanks for 2 nights of adventure at Borealis Base Camp. Then 2 nights in the town of Fairbanks to conclude the trip. This tour begins with a visit to the Palmer Muskox Farm, followed by dinner with the actual Iditarod mushers at their annual Mushers Banquet. Next, John Hall's Alaska travelers will choose to spend their day with Nick and Colony Glacier Flight Sing, taking a scenic photo safari, or beer tasting with a local brewery tour. You will also be enjoying both the Iditarod ceremonial start down 4th Avenue in Anchorage and the official restart the following day in Willow. A guest favorite is our private flight to an important Iditarod checkpoint, where guests will see firsthand how these brave mushers handle teams of 16 dogs all on their own. This is truly a behind-the-scenes look at Alaska's last great race. For 2020, this Arctic Circle checkpoint trip can be optional for those who do not wish to include it. The Aurora experience is more awe-inspiring than you can imagine, and you will have 7 consecutive days to experience it. It begins with your stay in Talkeetna, where famous Aurora photographer Frank Stelgis will teach you the best way to capture the northern lights on your camera. And it continues with an adventure day at Borealis Base Camp. View northern lights from your private clear domed cabins, or together as a group. During the day, you can choose to snowmobile, snowshoe, or go dog sledding. In Fairbanks, we round out the trip by attending the World Ice Art Championships. And take exhilarating dog sled rides with our friends from Trailbreaker Kennels. John Hall's 8-day Alaska's Winter Wonders tour was born from a love of Alaska's winter season. This itinerary is a photographer's dream and features multiple nights of Northern Lights viewing, awesome winter activities, and leisurely mornings. You start your tour with 1 night in Fairbanks and 2 nights at Borealis Base Camp. Next, we head to Talkeetna for 2 nights. Then it's on to Girdwood, Alaska for 2 nights at the world-famous Alyeska Resort for some winter fun in the sun. This tour includes up to 7 nights of unforgettable aurora viewing, starting with an exhilarating dog sled ride by the folks at Trailbreaker Kennels, followed by Northern Lights viewing at Aurora Point. Next, it's an interactive lecture by famous Aurora photographer Frank Steglis, who will teach you the best way to capture the Northern Lights on your camera before 2 evenings of viewing Aurora from your glass dome room at Borealis Base Camp. While at Borealis Base Camp, you will spend your day enjoying Alaska winter activities, choosing from snowshoeing, dog sledding, or snowmobiling. Next, head to Talkeetna to enjoy views of Mount Denali from the back porch of the Talkeetna Alaskan Lodge. Go for a 2-hour flight seeing tour that not only highlights Denali, but includes a flyby of Hunter, Fouracre, Silverthorn, and Moose's Tooth Peaks before landing in the Great Gorge. Later, guests will partake in a private tasting tour and behind-the-scenes look at one of Alaska's most successful microbreweries, the Denali Brewing Company. Breweries are one of the fastest-growing industries in Alaska today. You will finish your adventure partaking in winter fun at the Alyeska Resort. John Hall's Alaska guests can choose from a day of skiing at the Alyeska Resort, snowshoeing through pristine mountain paths, or enjoying pampered treatment at the relaxing Alyeska Resort Spa. You will travel up the Alyeska Mountain Tram to partake in a culinary dream dinner at Seven Glaciers Restaurant to top off an exciting day. For those wishing a more intimate cruise experience, John Hall's Alaska privately charters 2 summer sailings aboard a 60-passenger vessel operated by our partner, Uncruise Adventures. Our staff can help you match up our land tours with this custom cruise offering. However, most of our tour packages include a 7-day inside passage sailing aboard the award-winning Royal Caribbean Radiance of the Seas, Celebrity Cruise Line's Millennium, or Holland America's MS Westerdam. The vessels have an average passenger load of almost 2,000 guests. John Hall's Alaska wants you to know that you are still a group of 42, and in every case, a John Hall's Alaska cruise manager will be on board, acting as your private concierge. Above all, you are still a client of John Hall's Alaska, and they treat you as their privileged guest all throughout your cruise. Onboard entertainment keeps you busy all evening with several options to choose from. The main show includes such entertainment as Las Vegas-style stage shows, comedians, and magicians, while the secondary venues offer entertainment ranging from the Newlywed Game, talent shows, pianists, and string quartets. Of course, the casinos offer gambling, as long as you're not docked in port, and late-night dancing too. The cruise ships have both indoor and outdoor pools and hot tubs, a variety of exercise classes in the gym, and the ability to spoil yourself with massage therapy, facials, or nail service in the spa. Food is of stellar quality on all ships, and with multiple dining options available, guests are certain to find something that suits their desires and satisfies their palate. The main dining rooms provide exceptional service and plated meals at breakfast, selected lunches, and dinner nightly. Rotating menus highlight a variety of options ranging from house-made pasta to fresh seafood and steaks. Dinner guests have the option of selecting from fixed seating, where you will dine at the same time nightly and be seated with fellow John Hall's Alaska travelers from your tour. The other option for dining is the freestyle or flexible dining, which allows guests to dine as they see fit. It is John Hall's Alaska experience, and at the recommendation from past travelers, that guests traveling aboard any cruise line select the fixed dining option at the time of booking. The experienced staff at John Hall's Alaska will be happy to answer any questions or concerns you have regarding the dining available to you. The Lido or Ocean View Cafe is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and offers a completely casual buffet-style approach to dining. This is extremely popular for people on the go, thanks to the assortment of foods available and easy access, so that you can focus more time on Alaska and less time on the dining experience. While the food in both the main dining rooms and cafes are included with the cost of your cruise, all brands offer multiple specialty restaurants that come at an additional cost to the traveler. These smaller venues offer cuisine that ranges from high-end steak and seafood to family-style Italian and Japanese sushi gardens. We find that these are the perfect way to celebrate anniversaries, birthdays, or simply a date night with that someone special. Packing for an Alaskan cruise is a daunting task for many, but the most important thing to remember is the fact that Alaska is truly a casual destination. The same casual attire that you enjoy while on the land program is also welcome aboard the cruise ships. You will have 2 nights requiring formal or chic attire, and this simply means slacks, button-up shirts, and a sport coat for the gentlemen, while ladies are perfect in a pantsuit or dress. The other 5 nights are semi-casual. If guests should avoid wearing shorts and t-shirts, you will be welcome in the main dining room for dinner. However, should you have no desire to dress up on these selected evenings, the cafes are open for you to enjoy. When cruising, tap water, tea, coffee, and selected juices are included. Alcohol, soda, and bottled water is an extra cost for cruisers, but drinking packages are available for your consideration. When cruising with John Halls Alaska, you will journey down the same Inside Passage route, highlighting 4 points of call, where most cruise itineraries only show you 3. This means more time in Alaska. You will sail out of Seward, Alaska on Friday night. Saturday, you visit Yakutak Bay, home to the largest tidewater glacier in North America, Hubbard Glacier. Your ship captain will bring you alongside the glacier, and you'll spend 30 to 40 minutes watching the thunderous roar, produced as the glacier ice falls into the waters below. It's not a bad idea to grab a few extra layers of clothing, as the ice can drop the air temperature to around 35 degrees. Sunday, you will arrive in the capital of Alaska, Juneau. On Monday, it's a journey back in time to the gateway of the Klondike, Skagway, Alaska. Tuesday brings you to the wilderness port of Icy Strait Point. Wednesday, you will visit Ketchikan, the salmon capital of the world, before spending Thursday cruising the spectacular Inside Passage. Early Friday morning, you will dock in Vancouver, British Columbia. Should you choose to cruise with Holland America, your cruise itinerary will include Glacier Bay National Park and Haines, Alaska. Cruising offers 4 different cabin choices. Inside cabins are approximately 170 square feet with no window. Outside cabins are similar in size, but with a 3x4 foot window. The fastest selling staterooms in Alaska are the veranda cabins, around 190 square feet with a large balcony. These are popular because of Alaska's great coastal scenery, with mainland and island views on both sides for a good portion of your trip. Suites are 300 square feet with a veranda 100 square feet, known as both Sky and Junior Suites. Shore excursions can be overwhelming in the amount of options, but your personal John Halls Alaska cruise manager is aboard to help answer those questions. John Halls Alaska also encourages you to call their office and discuss shore excursions prior to making a commitment on your own. It is John Halls Alaska's #1 goal to protect your time and investment in Alaska. Our cruise manager will have special maps for each port of call and host walking tours that touch on the history and culture of Juneau and Ketchikan. They will also handle all guest cruise disembarkation, so you will end your tour as worry-free as it began. Offering an unmatched value is the goal with all of John Halls Alaska's tour itineraries. However, should you wish to customize your Alaska Dream Vacation further, please don't hesitate to ask their specialists upon making a reservation. John Halls Alaska offers pre-tour accommodations in Anchorage and Fairbanks, and post-cruise accommodations in both Vancouver and Seattle. Many guests elect to spend time visiting places like the Parliament Building and Bouchard Gardens in Victoria, British Columbia. Before the start of your land package, consider bear viewing trips to Katmai National Park, saltwater fishing targeting halibut, salmon, and lingcod. John Halls Alaska will also have your catch processed, packed, and shipped to your home once you arrive, or even a fly-out trip to a wilderness fishing lodge for world-class rainbow trout fishing on a river such as the Naknek. From dream to destination, John Halls Alaska is the expert to help you fulfill them all. The passion that the John Halls family has for Alaska has continued to grow for over 37 years. This fact is evident and the experience that its visitors take home with them.
Alaska is my passion. I was fortunate enough to come up here when I was younger and make it part of my life and who I am as a person. And the biggest joy that I get is seeing the reactions of people that have traveled with us over the course of the past couple weeks, making sure that they're happy, enjoying themselves, that they've had a life-changing adventure. It's a very life-changing experience to see the whole experience through your guests every time they come up here.
30 years that I've been coming to Alaska, every trip is different. It never gets old. It's never the same. Doesn't matter if it's June, July, August, September, the destination always presents something different, and that's what excites me.
We were just drawn back because they really give you a first-class travel experience. They really care for their guests.
I wouldn't consider going with anyone else to Alaska because we know the experience with them is going to cover so many areas. You become part of the family when you travel with John Halls, Alaska.
People feel like they are family, and we certainly see that from the guests that come on the John Hall groups, and we certainly like working with those groups.
So that's one of the great things that we like about partnering. It's in those commitments to being an ambassador about what Alaska offers, not just to visitors, but really to the world.
The staff and all personnel involved have just been phenomenal. They go out of their way to make it above and beyond anything that you expect.
We would do this again in a heartbeat.
We have a legacy dedicated to providing our guests with an authentic Alaskan experience, and we continue to develop our tours so that we can offer an unprecedented service and commitment to hospitality that makes John Halls Alaska unique in all the world. You've been waiting for your chance to experience Alaska. Why not take it with someone who is dedicated to offering you the best Alaskan experience possible? John Halls Alaska.